Hi, Heather. Hi, Kim.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Long time no see.
For sure. It has been.
Right. We're getting populous here.
There we go.
Heather, where do you work?
I'm at Starbucks now. When I met Jason and Mary, I was with PPM on the Amazon account doing project management, but I'm now at Starbucks doing that. Yeah. How about you? I think I saw the write-up on you, so I should probably know the answer to that, but
I just started working with Uche a couple months ago, so I'm a project engineer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats on the new job.
Thank you. That's good.
Right. Got a couple more folks coming in. Kim, good to see you. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good. Doing well, thank you.
Everybody's healthy?
So far, so good. Yes. Yep.
All right. Soph, you look really familiar. Have we met before?
I don't know that we have.
No? You have a familiar face.
I love your headphones in your picture. They're super cute.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we can go ahead and get started, and I will keep track of folks as they filter in here. So good to see everybody here today.
Are we still recording?
I don't know. There were a couple of folks who were looking
Yes,
for
we're
it.
recording. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple of folks who are looking for feedback here.
All right, what are you looking for?
This guy.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're remembering how to use Zoom.
Yeah, it's been a little while for us
It's been a
for Zoom. Good to see everybody here today. We appreciate everybody making the time. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the core training that we're paying attention to right now. We've got a handful of folks who are here to share their experience. And at the end of the presentation, we're going to be talking about the giveaway for a couple of classes that we have available for folks. So we're focused on PM Basic and Foreman Basic for the folks in the back. All right. That is not what I'm looking for. So Sarah, if you would be so kind, we're looking for you to share your insight and experience in terms of what was your most fun moment with training. So we spent 8 weeks together for PM Basic, but we've known each other, gone back much further than that. What was the most fun part of PM Basic for you?
I would have to say that every day was fun, and I don't, but it was just the lectures were so engaging, and then we always took the time to do activities like individually, work with teams and work with other people in the training. And I just left every day feeling like my wheels were turning, and I just had like all these great ideas and new strategies to apply to my projects that I was currently working on. So every day I left like having, I had a blast at every class and left feeling empowered. So that was, pretty thrilling.
Appreciate that. Denny. So Denny, he is a carpenter. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I don't want to take your fire, but he does have the honor of being the only person so far to date that's been through both Foreman Basic and PM Basic. So what was your most fun moment, Denny?
I would say that it's kind of hard to just dial it down to one thing, but as I was preparing for today, I was just thinking about my classmate during the video here. Everybody. Was really the use of those little cards that you guys use. I can't remember the specific name of the little target cards you guys use, and using those for that little task of super fight. Creating these weird characters and kind of just highlighting the difference between dialogue and debate. And it was such a fun experience because it was laughter all the way through it, and then using those little cards to help us with setting up our safety meetings and how to kind of take the scary out of talking to people, right, and get the people engaged. And when you're surrounded by, you know, peers in your industry and at different levels, and you see people up there really trying to be serious about such a silly thing like a rocket toilet, I still not a mad version of that, and it just broke the ice across the board for everybody. And then to see everybody just share their humility and their funny and their jokes, but yet we were joking about the subject matter, and that really helped me learn a lot, and that was really fun for me.
Yeah.
Just that interaction.
So what Denny was talking about is we have a game that's called Super Fight, and it is a game that we play in order to help people to understand conflict management. And it's a really kind of fun, energetic way to interact with conflict. So we artificially create conflict in the form of a game so that folks can get comfortable with talking about it and kind of work through it. Thank you, Denny. So Denise.
Hi, everyone. So same icebreaker.
Same icebreaker. What was fun about PM Basic?
Every day was fun, but my favorite, if I had to choose one favorite, it would be the podcast, because I would leave so powered up from every class, and then I'll go work a long, hard shift, and then I'll have an even longer commute. But Mary and Jason, your banter with each other made me feel like I was back in class, and the jewels and the knowledge that you drop throughout the podcast. One, I'm competitive, so I like, you know, making sure I got my power up points. But it kept my learning fresh and sharp, and riding home for like a 2-hour commute, listening to the lessons really just kept it fresh in my mind every day. So I really appreciate that learning style.
Got it. Appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, that is super helpful. So let's see if I can work the Zoom machine here. So I want to share something. Let's go. All right, so we have a lot of information to get through here today. Can everybody see that splash screen?
Mhm.
All good and fancy and all that good stuff. So first thing that we're going to talk about is Foreman Basic Training for any folks who are interested in that. So I guess where Foreman Basic Training started for us is that we spent a lot of time in the industry. I grew up in the industry. We were both kind of construction folks. And Kabri Lerman-Schmid, one of our panelists, one of our friends in the industry, she pointed out to us that in construction, we have the second highest rate of suicide of any industry, which is kind of a splash in the face in terms of a wake-up call. And one of the leading indicators of suicide, or the likelihood that it'll happen, is promotion without preparation. And by and large, that is how we promote in the industry, that we promote people, put them into a position and expect them to succeed, but do relatively little when it comes to preparing them to actually fill the role. And so we kind of set up this pressure cooker situation where folks are expected to succeed and just know this stuff, but we haven't really given them the opportunity to do it. So just by a point of reference, in 2018, we had 6 on-the-job fatalities that were work-related in Washington State, and comparatively, we had 125 lost folks by suicide. So there's a huge difference in the way that we treat physical safety versus psychological safety. And so in the foreman position especially, this is a place where people don't have a lot of opportunity to take education or take classes that will truly help them grow into the position that they need to grow into. Typically, we promote people who are fast, who are high producers, and expect that those skills will translate just as well. So the modern education system that most field folks are brought up in, it works best for people who learn well from books, from reading, from conventional education.
And we know that the kind of people who are drawn to construction and to working with their hands, they tend to be visual learners. And visual learners don't tend to be that well served by the education system. So often the people who end up in construction are the people who school was not a fun experience for them. It was not someplace they wanted to be.
So in that situation, then we recognize that that conventional education isn't serving them well. And at the same time, we also understand that the situation that we put people into, they're oftentimes looked at as stupid, dumb, they have lack of talent or lack of capability. And the spin and the approach that we take is that field folks are actually very intelligent, very capable. It's just that their skill set rests in a different location. So we need to make sure that we give them education that's appropriate to meet those needs.
And it's important that they are taught in a way that speaks to their skill set and the way that they see the world. So when we try to teach Foreman Basic in a way that if we just take these foremen and hand them textbooks and go back to the same way that didn't serve them in school, then that's not going to be that helpful to them. So it's really important that this training gets built in a way that speaks to visual learners and speaks to people who spend their time in the field.
When we take those folks and we put them into that position, this could be the first opportunity that they have to send their kids to college or to buy a house or all of those wonderful things that they work so hard for. And that fear of failure is tremendous in that position. So it's all just kind of circling around fear. And that was kind of the place where we came to, our industry has a need specifically for that foreman training. It doesn't really exist. And we're trying to meet a bigger need than just something as simple as point and click training or putting people through virtual training. We do all of our training in person because we feel like, especially with the field folks, they respond better to it. Retention is our #1 goal. So retention of material.
Well, technology can often be a challenge for people. And so then when you put that technology in between them and the source of instruction, it can be really hard for them to learn effectively. So one of our closest contacts in the industry is JLY. We've done a lot of work with them and have built several training programs for them over the years. And the feedback that we received, this made me crack up and made me tear up when I saw it. After these folks had gone through our training programs, the feedback that I got was that they've really changed the way that they approach field leadership and how they bring those folks up. And for me, that's just kind of a high watermark, and it's something that I'm really proud of in the work that we do. So the next piece that we want to talk about are the precepts. So we're not going to go through all of these in depth. You can find these on the website, but you will see some familiar faces here. But the idea of the precepts is that these are principles that we teach to, and a lot of folks don't know that we're teaching to it until we get to the end of the program. But the idea of stupid questions being a requirement to entry, that means, well, I guess, Denny, what does that mean to you? What is stupid questions are a requirement to entry? Got to unmute, my friend. There he is.
There he is. There's no such thing as a stupid question, right? And it's just taking down that barrier, and it's okay to ask the questions and to respect the questions and actually listen to somebody who's asking it because they're asking for information, you know. And it's fun because I've actually employed that to my work today, or not today, but a few weeks ago in a safety meeting. It was like, if anybody got some stupid questions, and it was really funny. And we really brought everybody together, you know, different guys on the job site, and it was really a fun thing. So I'm a big proponent of that for sure.
Yeah. And so we really push hard for the idea of normalizing the idea that stupid questions, you know, whether you think they exist or not, it doesn't matter, but we kind of need to take back stupid questions. And we need to normalize the idea that we should be talking about everything. If you have a question, if you're concerned you're doing it wrong, we need to throw that flag and have that conversation.
And anytime that voice speaks up in your head and says, well, I don't want to say this out loud, it might be a stupid question, that's the question you need to ask more than any of the other questions you've had all day.
Yeah. So let's see here. Another one that we want to talk about is accountability is an outcome that can only exist when created by team leaders. And the idea here is that folks will continually say, I need my people to be accountable. I need my people just to show up and be accountable. Well, understand that accountability is something that can only exist when we create that habitat where it can exist, where things like trust exist and communication and clear expectation. All of those components are core elements to making sure that accountability has a place in our team.
Yeah, well, and this takes us back to why it's so important that these people get this training, because how to create that accountability, that's not something that we're just born knowing how to do. There needs to be training to help us understand how to create that environment and how to bring that out in the people that we lead.
Yeah. Sarah, so what does this one mean to you?
You.
No?
Okay,
There we
sure.
There you go.
I think it's important to hold yourself accountable
As a leader.
As a leader. I mean, that just that makes it okay for others to hold themselves accountable and bring mistakes forward too. So I mean, it goes full circle. But at the end of the day, it's just important to hold yourself accountable for the mistakes that you've made, and then that way you can actually come and talk to people about it and find solutions.
Absolutely. All right. So the last piece I want to talk about here before we move out of Precepts. So Denise, are you available? Audio is fine if you are.
No, I am available.
All right. So Precept 8 is every member of leadership has the obligation to foster psychological safety within their teams. What does that mean to you?
To me, it really means like making sure everybody feels safe to be their authentic selves and show up to be who they are. Because if you're hiding your truth and you're scared to be able to step into that role, that leadership role, or if you make a mistake and you don't share it, you can blow up a whole project because you can't show up as yourself and you just don't feel safe. You feel like your job will be on the line. And it's, if you make your team feel like they're safe within their as humans, then they're going to be able to work harder, work smarter, and be more effective.
Absolutely. Yeah, perfect. So one piece that we're going to be talking about here is Foreman Basic Training. And the three main areas of focus that we talk about. On Denise, I'm going to mute you. There we go. So the three core pillars that we talk about in Foreman Basic Training that we feel are critical to providing that comprehensive education is number one, leadership. So we're providing leadership skills, we're providing communication skills, conflict management skills, building team morale. Those are things that aren't taught in depth in any venue. The second piece is construction management skills. So when we move foremen into that position, it's critical that they have the tangible skills to actually manage that construction project at their level. So we give them daily reporting tools, we give them productivity tracking tools, we give them scheduling management tools.
Yeah, reading drawings and specs in depth and how to really understand all the pieces of the project.
And then the last pillar that we give them is focused on technology. So there is a new piece of technology that gets rolled out to foremen on just about every project. For subcontractors specifically, that's the case. So rather than teaching them to be an expert at any one piece of software, we give them the skill set so that they can learn new software. So we give them a tangible process. They can break down any piece of software, and we do this many times over the course of the 8 weeks together, so that they can take a piece of software, they can digest it, and then they can use it at their level. And then over the course of the 8 weeks, the pieces that we're talking about are understanding the foreman role. We go through drawings, specifications, and Bluebeam. So that's kind of the first drop into software training. Week 2, we go into morale, goals, RFIs, submittals, and PM software. It's kind of mind-boggling that we get that all into one space, but we do it in a creative way where we're overlapping education.
We specifically work with PlanGrid, but we also talk about BIM 360 and Procore and some of the other tools that exist.
Yeah. We go through week 3 talking about the importance of culture, diversity, and then scheduling with Microsoft Project. So this is the place where usually, even if we have tough nuts in the room, they will turn. They will come over to our side and start believing the things that we're talking about.
So we often get the feedback that foremen don't need scheduling because they don't need to be able to create a schedule or understand all the depth of a tool like Microsoft Project. But the truth is, foremen do need to be able to read and understand a schedule and understand which pieces of it are relevant and important to what they're doing on a project. So that's really the focus in Foreman Basic on scheduling. We're not going into how to create schedules. We're talking about how to decipher the parts of it that they really need to be able to understand.
Yeah. And then week 4, we're talking about communication and project kickoff, and we do that through Microsoft OneNote. So, Denny, this looks like this is a big blast from the past for you. So we're going through proper communication and making sure that we have all of the skills that we need in order to communicate properly and effectively. And one of the pieces of feedback that we receive commonly is that this stuff is applicable to home and to work because we're one person and all of these principles apply everywhere. Week 5, we talk about conflict management, problem solving, and then we go into 3-dimensional building. So we look at BIM, building information modeling, and also augmented reality. And the purpose of this is to show the future of construction, because a lot of the big outfits around here, BN and GLY and those folks, they're doing this stuff now. So when foremen get out onto projects, they need to have a clue about the type of information that exists.
It's not about teaching them to be an expert in using these tools. It's about getting them to understand kind of the wave of technology that's coming and what we're going to be seeing on our job sites more and more as time goes by.
Yeah. Week 6, we're talking about measuring data. We're talking about productivity tracking, profit measurement, and then we help them build a tool so that they can use Microsoft Excel to track this stuff themselves. So every single class, we have a goal that they take a tangible skill out into the job site that they can put to work right away. Week 7, we're talking about leadership culture, team tasking, time management. So this is kind of the ramp up to the finale of the series. And then week 8, appropriately so, we talk about closeout, punch list, debrief. What did we learn from the course of this series, and what do we take away from projects? We walk through that process so that you could replicate that on every single job.
And then the last session is graduation, and every foreman gives a presentation to the rest of the group and to our panel of experts about what they've learned, what they've put to work, and what they got out of the class.
So it's important to note that every class begins with breakfast and coffee, and then we provide drinks and soda and snacks and everything to keep folks awake and alert and moving forward. But the goal is that people can take away a tangible good at the end of every single class to make their lives actively better. And because we have folks who don't learn very well just from reading a book, we have optional homework that comes along with the program, and that comes in the form of a podcast.
Which we actually already talked about a little bit. But the thing that's nice about the podcast is that foremen are often really busy people.
Yeah.
And so this gives them the ability to do their homework in the car, on their way to work, on their way to class, and get that knocked out and kind of get to cement some of what they've learned.
Right. So then when we get to the end of the program, we finish the whole program off with a presentation. So every single student in the class gives a final presentation about what they learned over the course of the 8 weeks together. They're expected to share 3 key takeaways and one what we call impact story. And that the purpose of that story is to share a story about how they took something away from the class and put it into work, and then have the ability to share information about how it went. And so there'll be some folks who will say, why would these people need to present in public? As these people grow and rise throughout their career, at some point, they're going to be required to speak to owners and speak to architects and speak to customers intelligibly and confidently. So this is the first opportunity for them to be able to do that. We had an interesting experience with Denny. He came through the Foreman program and he was just so racked up with nerves and just had a really hard time getting through it. And then had a very different experience when he went through the PM program. And Denny, I'd love if you would share your experience a little bit around the value of those presentations.
Yeah, just like you mentioned, Jason, I mean, I was a ball of nerves going up to start for my presentation at Foreman. I had built it into this massive, crushing I can't even say the words what I thought was going to happen in that room in my own mind, this fabricated thing. And I think one of my presentation points was being comfortable in uncomfortable positions, in uncomfortable environments, and going through that experience and getting the feedback I did from the panelists was really overwhelming. I wasn't expecting that I had actually done quite so well, because I thought it was just bumbling along. But then when I went into the project management class and being part of that team, and I was excited for that presentation. I was ready to go. I kind of had to shut me up, right? I just wanted to keep talking and sharing as much as I could with everybody, and I'm kind of starting to do that now. You're going to have to shut me up here on this.
Okay, Denny, I'm going to have to mute you.
All right, I get it. Totally fine. So, but I really want a great experience.
But I think it's interesting because a lot of people go into it just a ball of nerves, and then when they come out of it, they're empowered and they're full of endorphins and they're just ready to go. And I think that it's a kind of a cathartic experience for a lot of people. And that is kind of what we're looking to create.
And I think, we're about to talk more about PMs, and more of the PMs have had at least a little bit of time to speak in front of people. But with the foreman, often we ask the question, when was the last time you presented in front of people, you spoke in front of people? And unless we're talking about running a safety meeting or something, many of them, the answer is never. Never before have they done this. So having the opportunity to get in front of a room of their peers and even some people who are people to look up to and have them speak, it's really good for them to get to experience that and see that it's something they can do.
Yeah. So these are a couple of the panelists that we have come in for our foreman classes, all fantastic rock stars. And actually Francisco is a graduate of the program. So cool part about the program is that as people go through, we give certain people the opportunity to come back as panelists in order to give feedback and kind of give them straight scoop of how they did in those presentations. And we're trying to create that pipeline of opportunity and leadership. So do we have any brief questions about Foreman Basic before we move on?
We move on to talk about PM Basic.
Good to go.
You're welcome to type it into the chat or ask aloud.
All right. I will move on because we have a lot of material to get through here. So we're going to talk about PM Basic briefly next. And I think the important part when you come into talking about project management, over and over and over again, we'll interact with folks on projects where they lose money, they lose time, they're months behind schedule, and they cannot tell you for their life where the money went. They don't know what happened to the money, they don't know what happened to the time. I'll openly and candidly say, I would rather you stole the money and went and bought yourself something nice rather than just you have no idea what happened to it, right? That is spooky to me, but that is so much of what happens out in the industry. So the quote from one of our students, it was Ben. Sarah, were you with Ben? No, Denise was with Ben. No? I'm having blurred experiences.
Can't remember who's in which cohort.
Last name?
Yeah. So Ben from Blue Sound. Yeah, I'm having I'll call it cohort blur. So we had feedback from a student, and he said, we spend so much time planning what we're going to do and so little time planning for all of the things that are going to go wrong. And that is kind of the core of what we focus on in PM Basic. And the training that we provide fills the gap between CM programs and what you actually need to do the job, right? There's all the stuff that's kind of theoretical or textbook, but it doesn't look or behave or act like what real life looks like. So we provide those tangible tools in PM language so that they have the ability to control their environment. So Sarah, I want to go to you for this. So what are your thoughts on what was the biggest tangible benefit from PM Basic?
That's like a really good intro because there are so many great takeaways, but like understanding risk management. And when I saw that on like the course, like information, for the training. I was like, I don't even know if I've ever learned risk management before. And just looking out for things and trying to identify and ask questions and then try to quantify risk. And then the next step is just tracking the risk and how are you going to mitigate that, which is something that I don't think anyone, I wasn't trained that way. I was always putting out fires, but like starting to think ahead and identify the risks and shrink them.
Absolutely. So we were speaking with a professor at Purdue, and
Mark Zimfer,
and he
shared with us an analogy that we really like, which he said, in construction management, the way that we've taught it forever and ever, it's like if we want to teach someone to be a bicyclist. And so we're going to give them this training program, and we're going to spend a whole class talking about the tires of the bike, and a whole class talking about the chain of the bike, and a whole class talking about the handlebars and the brakes and how they work. And then we get to the end of that and they've still never ridden a bike. And then we just put them on the bike and say, okay, go, you can ride a bike now. And they've learned a lot about the bike, but they never actually learned how to ride a bike. So in our project management program, we're trying to run these mock projects and give them some kind of real world examples of how this stuff works, how it looks in the wild.
Yeah, so the way that the program works is that we go through various topics and we set the teams up, we set the students up with mock projects. And we basically go through week to week talking about different topics, and we're throwing different curveballs at the students as we go through week to week. So the first is basically the introduction. We let the students kind of dive into the projects and start to understand the format. In week 2, we start to build some process controls, and we start to focus on building their team.
Team building and morale and being a leader.
And then we go into project goals and profit tracking. So they're building tools that they're actively going to use to manage their mock projects. And then we build out project schedules for their projects as well. Week 4, we kick off the project. So now we have that formal kickoff session in class with the groups, and we talk about the importance of project partners and relationship management. And then week 5, we're talking about successful delegation and how do we delegate tasks? How do we communicate it properly? And then we also talk about change management. So there's a lot going on week to week to week. Week 6, we talk about productive conflict and tactical coordination. We're kind of gearing up every single week, giving them more and more tools. Week 7, we talk about leadership and speaking like one, and we're also talking about time management principles and Microsoft Outlook, so you can manage your email. And then week 8, finally, we're down to punch list, debrief, and final presentations. And so we required that the students present out as a group to share how their project went.
So much good stuff comes out of the group format because they're grouped together with people who are often from different trades, different parts of work, different ways of working, and they learn so much from one another in those groups.
So our mock projects are exciting. Denny, I can see you grinning there. So there are cool, funny, harebrained things that happen on these projects, but every single one of these projects is a real project. Every single event and every single curveball is based on real things that happen. We've just made them a little more cartoonish, so they're a little more sticky.
So we took project documents and events from projects that we actually ran, changed all the names to protect the innocent, and then added these crazy celebrity owners and kind of made everything a little funnier that happened instead of just boring construction problems.
Eccentric and difficult to manage. We've never had any clients like that, right, Kim? Of course not. So every single week we'll throw curveballs at the students, and we expect them to react to that. So they're kind of pacing out what it is that they're going to do.
When they're managing the risk from week to week, they have to run this process that we call the tilt process that gives them some tangible steps for how to identify what the risks are, how to keep track of them, how to make plans for how to mitigate those risks.
And as they go through that process, then we'll go through some lecture, and we're talking about the content, and we're kind of giving them some tangible tools. And then at the end of the class, they have the opportunity to spend power-up points, if they've been good students, to be able to change their decisions or to be able to roll back time and do something different using the information that they learned. And over the course of the 8 weeks, we're not playing the game of how much can I make, right? How much money can I make? We're playing the game of where did all of the time and money go? How much did I lose, and specifically, where did it go?
How closely can I track and understand this project?
Right, that is the game that we're playing. And then the final presentations involve sharing the outcome to a group of senior panelists. So we've got a number of folks, and we can see Sarah here among those list of panelists. So she was a PM Basic student, Build the Circle alumni, and works with as a PE for Fouché. But these folks will put the students through a rigorous process of asking kind of pointed questions about their project. And believe me, if you don't know the answer, they will find out. But all of this is done inside of a really safe space, and it gives people the room that they need to be able to kind of flex and exercise and practice riding that bike.
And for the PMs, they really get a chance to think about how to report out on a project, which is a skill that it's really important for them to have. How do they figure out which data the management wants to know, and then present that in a way that people can actually be able to absorb and digest and get to quickly?
So that's a lot. So do we have any questions on PM Basic at this point?
We're good.
Heather.
I do have a couple questions. So I'm excited that we're meeting in person because logistically, you guys are close to me in West Seattle. So I love that. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first time I took the course with you guys, it's just really fun to be in person. And I guess I'm curious about how the length of the classes, how frequently you'll meet, and is there homework?
Yes.
So we meet twice a week for both programs. The PM group meets on Mondays and Wednesdays. The foremen meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Both groups meet from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So it is a 4-hour class twice a week. And
so we actually have a little bit of information when we wrap up today that we have available for you.
But to just quickly answer the other question, the homework is in the form of that podcast, and both groups get one podcast per week. Mm-hmm. It's about 25 to 30 minutes long, and that's generally all the homework that anybody gets.
It is optional, but you will have social peer pressure to cause you to listen to it. And I think Denny listened to some like 3 and 4 times. You didn't get extra points for that. But so the last piece that we want to talk about here today, and we'll be brief so we can get to a couple more questions, is the Build the Circle Scholarship Program. So Build the Circle, this was basically created in an effort to help provide access to leadership training for a lot of folks who didn't have access to it. So when we began our training, we said, send us your best and brightest, and please give preference to women and underrepresented folks. And what we ended up getting were just a bunch of white dudes that looked like me and Denny there. And so in that process, presently, in this cohort, after a year of running these things, we've had 2 women who were paid for by their own company to attend any of these trainings. So if you think about that for a second, that is kind of mind-boggling that only 2 women have ever been through our programs paid for by their own companies. Every other woman through the program has been a scholarship student. So we recognize that there was a fundamental problem in identifying and providing that access and opportunity for those folks. I'll tell you frankly, when I'm going toe-to-toe against a male PM, I'm not worried about it at all. But if it's someone like Heather, who I know is whip smart and like a shark, you'll grow into it, Sarah. But I am intimidated because I know that you had to do it twice as hard and twice as good in order to get there. And Denise, I can't wait to share where you're headed. So not only do these folks get less access to leadership opportunities, but they get less access to the training that would support them on that path. So it's kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy. We're creating this problem, and we just complain that there's not enough talent and not enough skilled folks out there.
Well, and some of the feedback we were getting when we went to our clients and said, send us your women, send us your underrepresented people, is that a lot of the companies are looking for more women and more underrepresented people, looking for those introductions and don't know where to find them. So we thought up the Build the Circle program to kind of try to solve that problem from both sides.
So we have a number of partners who provide funding for folks. And so we help identify tangible talent and put them through a screening process and then put them into the program. So Sarah was a Build the Circle student and Denise was a Build the Circle student. And a big part of the angle here is that we're creating this leadership pipeline and helping them to develop networking opportunity and creating that opportunity to interact with other students who go through the program. So here are our Build the Circle graduates so far. And there you go. But we're really excited to see these folks come through. And we're more excited to see where they go and what they do with the training, because we're creating that pipeline of opportunity and we're introducing them to the partner companies. And we're really creating kind of an intentional family to help folks get access to training, to resources. And I think one of the more valuable things is that when we hear their stories and we get to hear the great things that they're doing out in the industry, I mean, that is fantastic for me. So Denise, I'm going to go to you if you have a moment. And we work with an organization called Anew. And if anybody's familiar with Anew, they began with helping women into apprenticeship programs and preparing them for that opportunity in the union. And Anew is an organization that helps us identify untapped talent in the industry. And then we have the ability to put them through the program and help advocate for them to get access to leadership.
Anew's been a wonderful resource for us. They're actually the way that we met, Denise.
Mm-hmm. So we work with Anew and Economic Alliance and NAWIC and a number of other organizations to help identify the talent. But Denise, I would love to hear the news that you have to share.
All right. So again, coming from Anew, after graduation, I went to a networking event to just share how excited I was from graduating from the PM program. And, an opportunity came about for an apprenticeship opportunities project manager position. And, this whole class, I came in as a 60-cent apprentice, and you gave me the confidence to be able to step forward in my greatness and not shrink myself in the field. And Anew, just was at that place. They trained me for the field, and then you trained me the next step. And it's like, really, that's a circle, right? Like, it's you helped me, I'm going to help the next generation of apprentices get to where they want to be and choose to go in their careers in construction. So I'm very excited to have that opportunity to go forth and conquer.
And so specifically, you have an opportunity to work with Anew?
So I am working with Anew as their apprenticeship opportunities project program manager. So being able to work with contractors and apprentices and just connecting the dots and being that liaison to help them get to the next step in that family wage career.
Yeah. Well, and when you shared that news with us, I almost teared up. I was so excited to hear that, because it's more important that you find the right path. And I know that you're going to do great things.
Well, I think
Absolutely.
I think a really cool part of Build the Circle as it grows is watching how people come through the program, they go out into the world and do great things and gain a lot of power that they can then use to help the next set of Build the Circle graduates, so that we're really building a network of people to kind of reach back and help the next people who come along.
So after students graduate any of our programs, but especially with the Build the Circle students, we make the commitment, Arcade makes the commitment to provide kind of unending support in the case that you find yourself out of work. In the case that you have an issue on one of your projects and you're stressed and you don't know what to do and you don't have anyone to turn to. In the case that you're having issues with leadership and maybe you don't know how to have a conversation. In the case that you're dealing with harassment or discrimination, or in the case that you just need someone to talk to. There are a lot of folks who are going through these active issues and they don't have any advocates who can actually make anything happen. And we know enough folks in the industry. We are here to make stuff happen. If we have to create some dust while we're doing it, so be it. That's what we're here for. So that is really kind of the spirit of what we're about and what we're trying to accomplish with Build the Circle. We've got just lots and lots of good news that continually comes out around in those areas. And these are the specifics of our next offering. So we're booking for September for PM Basic and Foreman Basic. And so Heather, this is the information that you were looking for in terms of scheduling and classes. And at the end of this program, in the case that you're interested, I already have yours, Heather, and I assume it's for PM. In the case that you would like to enter that drawing to get access to the free training, then go ahead and send an email to jason@arcadewayfinding.com. Please indicate whether or not you're looking for a PM or foreman position. And we're going to pull names out of a hat and figure out who's coming to see us.
It can be for yourself. It can be for someone else you want to send. Just make sure that either you or that person has the clearance to be able to be at the training from 6 to 10 twice a week.
So it was a lot. It was a lot of material to get through.
Another quick note when we're looking at this schedule is that yes, we are in person, and I'm not going to go through it now because everybody's heard all the COVID stuff till the end of time, but we do have really strict COVID protocols that we follow and make sure everybody stays safe and distanced and masks and all of those things.
And after a year of training, we've had 0 incidents in our facility. So we're happy about that.
Yep.
So what questions would folks like to share at this point?
I'm not going to ask any questions at this point. I'm gearing up. I just got fired this morning from a national level job in my trade. So hearing what you're talking about as far as lack of preparation is hitting right on for me. So I'll be following up.
Yeah, please do.
Thanks for sharing.
Please do.
I'm really sorry to hear that.
We're here for you.
Yeah, let's you follow up. Let's stay in touch. Heather,
I know you had a question.
Well, my computer is going to restart in 2 minutes, but I feel like I've gotten, I know, I am so excited about this. Everything that you've said has just really resonated with me, and I'm looking forward to just going and taking the next step. So I'm ready to sign up right now.
Okay.
Awesome. Love it.
We'd love to see you.
You would be a great presence in the class.
Any other questions that we have? I could sit here and just chat with our grads the whole time. Kim, what have you got?
I'm just kind of, I just wanted some more information. We might send some foremen to the Foreman Basic Training.
Okay. I think we have 4 spots left right now for September. So just let me know.
Yeah, thank you.
We're here for you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Got it. Brad, anything from you?
No, it's just my first kind of, I listened to a little bit of the information that you had sent, some of the podcasts and stuff, so just wanted to kind of join it and get a sense of what both programs were about.
Got it. Oh, and we'll be talking on Thursday, yeah?
Correct. Looking forward to it.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Perfect. Chris, we have a late, you joined us late, yeah?
Yeah, man, I'm just, I'm coming in to hear more about the labor, our foreman program. And, pretty much my question sitting here is the man that I have who would need this and benefit from this a lot is, tons of experience and he just owns the field, but he does not communicate due to the Spanish. And, I'm afraid if I send him, I don't know what to think of, where you interpret. And it's not that he speaks solely, it's that.
So is he English second language?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's common that we have English second language folks in our class. And oftentimes, if we have the ability to put them through with a partner or someone who's a little bit stronger than them, we commonly have English second language folks go through our programs. We have
successfully graduated several.
So we're not intimidated by that at all. I think the important part is we've had a person who has gone through the class. He had 37 years construction experience, and he almost teared up and said, when we're talking about software specifically, why has no one ever explained it to me this way before? So even if they've been in the industry for 3 decades, we're talking about stuff that no one has access to. This stuff is not trained in conventional education.
And really that's what steered us towards listening in today, was that you guys did have, this was a different program than just the, a couple nights plans reading class with all the other, guys who can just hear it once and understand what's going on. We're talking about somebody, didn't attend public school.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When Mary's background is technology and education, and so that is kind of her specialty of communication and helping folks understand stuff that they're not necessarily ready to understand. But I think that the process that we go through, we're really talking about a lot of topics that are much deeper than just construction training, but we help educate people at a deeper level so that they have the ability to start learning stuff that they need to in order to be successful in their position.
Yeah. Well, the interesting truth is that when you try to take construction guys and teach them things like communication and leadership, that stuff often just comes across as something they don't quite know how to connect with. It feels distant from them, not connected to their day-to-day. So when you're able to teach it in a way that kind of interfaces with construction training and with that day-to-day work that they're doing every day, and show them examples of how that looks in the field, it makes it feel, I think, a lot more real and approachable for them in ways that maybe those kinds of training have not done before.
Well, that's a fairly good explanation. So again, that's where we're at. But we've got a lot of people that would definitely benefit from the program.
Yeah. When I think GLY has kind of been our anchor client, and they send 3 or 4 every single cohort. So we just reserve spaces for them automatically. So did you have other questions?
No, just look for Compass.
Yeah. Well,
excellent. Glad you were able to make it.
Yeah. So Denny, what did I miss?
Feel like you're in class again?
Just a little bit. You guys covered a lot, but I don't know if it's Sophie that just had that comment.
Yeah.
So had a comment about getting terminated. So I've been there. It's hard. It happened to me, and going to that class, it changed my life. I'm now at a great company. Today is my first day as assistant superintendent on a small project, and these guys really turned it around for me. I'm getting a little emotional because I know exactly what you went through with, and he's laughing because I do this all the time. But sometimes it's the best decision somebody's made for you, and it'll give you a totally different perspective on life. Hang in there, you're great, you matter, and you're going to knock it out of the park. That's all I got. Sorry, it just resonated with me there. Keep it up, man.
Where did Sarah go? Lost Sarah.
She just disappeared. Oh, there she is.
Did I miss anything, Sarah?
I mean,
you're having feels too.
Yeah. No, it's just it was perfect timing when I did it, and I think I almost pushed it off too, but I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I just told my company, hey, I got a scholarship, like I'm gonna go to this training Monday and Wednesday, and it was the best thing I ever did because it opened my eyes, and it helped me just become more confident in my position, and have just I have had support since then that have helped me with difficulties in my career, and it's just opened doors for me. So yeah, I mean, there's so much more to say.
That's after. Denise, anything that we missed, friend? You available?
Friend, I'm available. I don't think you missed anything. I just really want to encourage everybody that's on the call or that will hear this recording, but so specifically, you're in the right space with Mary and Jason. They really do wrap their arms around you if hugs are your thing, and really support you. And so I just want to uplift you and just say everything happens for a reason, and this could be your right on time season to get a new skill, a new training in a way that's integrated. I forgot the young man, maybe Chris, when he was asking about the ESL part of it. Like, the classes are integrated. There was people that were in the construction field, like Jason said, 30 years, and I'm brand new to the construction field, and I was able to keep up and understand. Just be encouraged. So I call everybody friends, so I'm gonna call you friend too, to know that this is a safe place where you can grow and develop your skills. And it's not that 8 weeks, it's far beyond the 8 weeks, and it's more than just what's in the construction industry. There's things that I learned that I was able to apply day to day. For example, my kids went on their first solo trip, and I played the YouTube safety clip for them that we watched them, and it's so memorable, but it also takes that level of fear out, right? Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty. So thank you for sharpening our skills to really have that place that people can go home, and you get fed well, and they take really great care of you.
Appreciate that.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah, I feel like I could do this all night. Gosh. All right. Well, did we miss anything else? Any other questions, comments, what have you? So, Soph, definitely reach out and we'll be in touch there. I see your email here, either class. So maybe you could just stay on the call after and we'll have a quick conversation. Sure. All right. So for drawing here, looks like Heather, if you have the availability to join us in September, we'd love to see you. And then Chris, looking for a foreman position, so we'd love to have someone come join us. And then Soph, we want to talk with you after the call if you have a couple of minutes.
Yep, I can stay on. Thank you.
All right.
Yep, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, this is so exciting. I'm really excited. Thank you.
Yes, I'm excited too.
We'll be in touch with you.
Great. Thanks for doing what you do. You do it really well.
Really appreciate that.
Appreciate that. Take care of yourself.
Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Sarah, Denny.
Yeah, no problem. This is awesome. I'm so happy to see your faces.